let's hope it all gets better. If you are signed in to our newsletter, you will get the notices. If you are not subscribed to our email list, you will not get it. Anybody that wants to receive the emails can email me directly, and I'll make sure that you are on that list, because that's the only way that you will get notices of the special sessions. Okay, we are going to go through the THD indicators for RadarScreen. If you are not using the RadarScreen or scanner functionality, then you're not using the tools to their maximum capabilities. Number one, the THD Pullback SMA Divergence Indicator. This tells me at a glance whether my price is above the slow moving average or below the slow moving average. And it also tells me how far is price from the slow moving average, as well as indicates divergence at the slow moving average. If the number is a negative number, that means that price is above the slow moving average. If the number is a positive number, then it is below the slow moving average. So right now, just at a glance, I know that the 45, 12, and 3 minute are all above the slow moving average. That also tells me that the euro on the 3 minute is 7 ticks away from the slow moving average. So I would expect this actually on the 3, 12, and 45. If it is above the slow moving average, then I would be expecting probably an uptrend on those 3 time charts. I also know that evidently the SMA and the ATR are almost coinciding. So that's telling me that there's probably some support at the slow moving average and at the ATR. Why? Because the THD pullback ATR divergence indicator shows 7 as where price is 7 ticks away from the ATR, where over here it's 8 ticks away from the SMA. So already, if I closed my eyes, I would know that price is above the slow moving average. The ATR is below price and is coinciding with the euro on the 3 minute. Coinciding with the slow moving average on the 3 minute chart. Now, just to prove, you can see that right now it is measuring this value right here, and you see the slow moving average right here. So you can see that that is why I knew price was above, and there was a coinciding of the slow moving average with the ATR. Does everybody understand that? I did not need to look at the chart to see that information. And this is something we are really going to work on at the advanced seminar, because you are not utilizing it the way it was designed to be utilized. And this is where I begin all of my analysis. Now, does everybody understand what I just explained? If I get divergence, it's going to pop up here telling me I have divergence at the SMA or the ATR. So that tells me I would have a very low risk in that area if I am going in to my higher time frames. Now we have the THD ATX Indicator. Okay, now you can see you have the ATX values and then you have the DMI values. The reason that you look at the DMI values is simply to see whether it is magenta or not. Now, if you know the way that the ATX works, you don't even need the DMI there, because you know if it is above 50, it would be magenta. So I know exactly whether I have the DMI there or not. I would know what my ATX is doing. For example, the ATX on the 3 minute has to be going down because it is a dark color at 34. If it was increasing, it would be bright. The only way for it to be dark is if it is decreasing. So that tells me that there is some weakness in the trend, even though everything on the 45, the 12, and the 3-minute are above the slow moving average and the ATR is below price. I know that on the 3-minute, the trend is pulling back because it is a dark blue. On the 12-minute, you have a blue, bright blue, which means that the ADX is increasing. Again, on the 45-minute, you also have a bright blue saying that it is increasing. When you get down to the 180, this is where you have a problem. Because on the 180, price is below the slow moving average, but the ATR is above it. So that tells me that there could have been a magenta peak in the past on a higher time frame. If you're seeing a negative, well, not negative, but a dark red 36, that tells me that it is red and it is decreasing. Does everybody understand that? All of these guidelines are in the instruction manual when you purchase the tools. Now, the next column that you have is the ADX peak, and this actually highlights the ADX peak or any time frames that have had an ADX peak. That includes, it will alert you to the fact of a magenta peak on another time frame. A great example is actually on the Japanese yen. I knew that the 720 on the Japanese yen had a magenta peak. It tells me right here that it was a magenta peak and it is rated 8.4. Okay? Now there was a beautiful trade because I had that piece of information this morning. You see right here, this was your magenta peak. That is actually the peak that it chose to highlight. You also see that price was right at the slow moving average and the ATR. Okay, so that told me there is a lot of resistance in that area. You have not one, but two. Uh-oh, the screen turned green for some reason. Let's see if we can get it back. Okay, we had not one, but two actual potential resistance areas here. Okay, now this was a blue magenta peak. That means that price is going to go down on the lower time frames because it is going to pull back to this ATR on the 720. That is the core of the ADX, one of the principles of the ADX. As you see, it did pull back to the ATR. In fact, it broke the ATR. Okay, so this was a very simple, easy to identify trade. You could have entered yesterday during the US day session. You can see that right here, price was making new highs on lower volume. And let me go offline for a moment. The radar screen is taking too much of the bandwidth, so. Okay. Yesterday, during the U.S. market, you can see that the Japanese yen was making higher highs on lower volume. That is a standard divergence entry that we have right at the ATR. So you could have entered at this divergence here, giving you a very low risk entry because you're right at the ATR. If you were trading last night during Asia, this would have been your entry point. Either one of them, you got Clipper 3. And all you had to do was have your radar screen open and your speakers turned up because it will say ADX magenta peak on the Japanese yen 720-minute chart. We also have it where you can send it to your email or to your iPhone. So this is a very, very important aspect of the THD ATX indicator. We also have a line in the sand. This is where we are projecting that an ADX peak will actually come into the market. Now, this is not written in stone. Sometimes you will get the magenta peak before this number. Sometimes it will be after that number. The important thing to watch is the ticks to the line in the sand, because if you are going short, for example, right now on the Japanese yen, if you are going short because it's 5 ticks away from the ATR, you need to be careful because the 12-minute is at 86. And can everyone hear me? Okay, Wepper cannot hear me, so give me just a minute. That's okay. I have one person that cannot hear me, so. Now, as I was saying, if you're thinking about going short right now on the Japanese yen, it's 5 ticks away from the ATR, so that's a low risk entry point. But you are also 33 ticks away from making a magenta peak. Okay, so you need to take that into consideration because you would only be able maximum to get one clipper level, if that. Okay, and the reason is you are 33 ticks away from making a magenta peak with an ADX value of 80. Okay, that would not be a really great high probability trade setup there. I'm telling you right now. Okay, because it's only 33 ticks away from doing it on a higher time frame. Okay, and you're already seeing long divergence appear on the 12-minute, again telling you that it's going to bounce up. Now, that brings me to the next indicator, which is the volume divergence. Now, this is just a standard volume divergence. What I look for when I'm using the long divergence or short divergence in the THD volume divergence is markets that have an extremely high ADX value and it's getting divergence, because that makes me want to pay attention. 56 is not a high ADX value. So if you scroll down, 86, now that's a high ADX value. And I'm getting long divergence. So if I wanted to look at a counter trend trade, this would be the market that I would look at. Because number one, you have a magenta peak coming in, the ADX is at 86, and the volume is telling you that the market's going to go up. Does everybody understand that? And I haven't opened my chart yet. Now, the next indicator that I have in my radar screen. What are you confused about, Stoker? Right. ADX is at 86. Now, we expect it to stop at 70, correct, Stoker? That's where we're expecting a potential reversal. But we don't live in the perfect world. Sometimes it may come in at 70, 75, 77, 80, 85, 86. We don't know that magical number that is going to work in the market this moment in time. But if you do have an extremely high value, and 86 is extremely high because it only goes to 100, then we know if we're getting long divergence, hey, you better start paying attention because this is going to develop an uptrend. Now, do you understand, Stoker? Long divergence means you are getting decreasing volume on new price lows. Absolutely, that's what it means. No, it's not an uptrend. This is a dark red ADX at 86. This is a dark red 33. Right, it was highlighted, so maybe it looked blue. Okay, do you understand now? Okay. The next indicator that we have is the easy money indicator. Now, the easy money indicator is one that actually projects a value for you to enter your trade based on an ATR channel. Now, we have a message there, and it says the acronym is REST. That means risk, entry, stop, and target. Okay. It also tells us how many ticks are we from entry. So, for example, on the NASDAQ, we have 0 in both columns. On one, it says long, and on one, it says short. So, on the 3-minute, it's projecting a long, and on the 12-minute, it is projecting a short. It gives you both the stop, the entry, and the target. Now, would I want to take that trade just looking at my radar screen? Okay, we are below the SMA, 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 on all the way up to a 1440-minute chart. So unless I have had a magenta peak in here, I would be very cautious before I actually entered this market because even your ATR is above price at the moment. Does everybody understand that? Now, will this only work on the futures? Absolutely not. On the Japanese yen, I am actually in this trade right now. I actually entered it. It was Monday evening late that I entered this trade because this bar had already closed. You see that you had divergence. Now, how did I know that out of all of the Forex symbols, the only one I wanted to look at was the USD Japanese yen? The radar screen told me so. Notice the only ones that are highlighted bright blue on a weekly chart. Which ones do you have? You have the USD JPY and you have the Aussie JPY. Those are the only two that are highlighted in blue. In addition to that, when I look up here, you see that the 1440 is dark blue with a negative, with a value of 43. That negative, not negative, I'm sorry, that dark blue color of 43 told me I had a magenta peak on the 1440-minute chart. Now, that tells me that it should pull back to the ATR, which it did, and it did it on the Virgin volume. Therefore, all I had to do was look for my entry. Does everybody understand that? And believe me, these markets right now just are not moving. And you can see that because most of them have dark colors in the ADX. Dark colors in the ADX tell me that the market is not trending. That is the purpose of using the ADX. Which markets in here are trending? Well, the only one that was trending on the weekly was the USD JPY and also the Aussie JPY. You had almost exactly the same entry on the Aussie as you had on the USD JPY. Anybody that trades the spot forex as much as I have would already know to look at the Aussie yen, the New Zealand yen, the British pound yen, and the euro yen, as they typically move similarly. Does everybody understand that? So if you want to know why I could pick out the winning trade in this entire grouping, because I know my ADX and I know how to read my radar screen. Now, the next one, stocks. Now, in the stocks radar screen, well, let me back up a minute. Is there anybody in the room that had questions on how I identified that trade using the radar screen? If you have a trouble, let me know because we're going to build on what we just learned. The 1440. Okay. Let me go back to it. All right. We have a weekly value. Let me click on this for a moment. We have a weekly value of the USDJPY that is at 42. Now, that means I only wanted to be in one of the markets, Prasad. That was the only reason. Because I was also doing one on the Japanese yen future. So it just comes down to how many trades can you manage. All right. What I did, this is a bright blue on the weekly. What does a bright blue ADX mean? It means that the market is trending upwards, correct? Okay, what does a dark blue on the 1440 mean? If it's dark blue with a value of 43, what does that mean? That means there has to be, well, more likely than not is what I like to say. More likely than not, there was a magenta peak in the background. What does a magenta peak mean? A magenta peak means I'm going to have a retracement back to my ATR. Now, we say this every day in the live trading room, correct? Magenta peak, pull back to the ATR. Okay, I'm looking at my chart. Do I get a pullback to the ATR? Yes, I get a pullback to the ATR. Is it on diverging volume? Yes, it is on diverging volume. This gives me a very low risk entry point into this potential bounce to the upside. Everybody understand that now? And this is taking everything that we teach y'all at these seminars and putting it into practice on your charts. Okay? All right, let's go to stocks. Now, I have a universe here of about 250 stocks. That is a lot of charts to actually go through. And I would not want to look at that many charts. But let's say that I'm looking for something that I want to be in maybe a couple of days. Let's go to the weekly. The very, very first thing, the only way you can do the volume in Forex, Pam, in TradeStation is on a 1440-minute chart. Will not show on the weekly and the monthly. If you have TradeStation, then, I'm sorry, multi-charts, you can see the volume on the daily, weekly, and monthlies. You have to use tick count for Forex. And notice that the reason that I was doing the USDJPY, Pam, was because I could actually refer back to the future to read the volume, because I think the volume is more accurate on the future side than I do on the spot Forex side. And I've written a couple of articles on that topic. All right. Can we move on to the stocks now? How many of you in here trade stocks or options? Yes, I am talking. Can everyone still hear me? Okay. All right. I have some people that are having trouble hearing this morning, so. Okay. Now we're going to go through stocks, because let me tell you, I have one client that has really piqued my interest in stocks. Not stocks as much as the option side of it. Ken, I won't mention your name. But I thought you want to know who that one was. So what I'm trying to do is actually learn to trade not only the options on intraday, but also the options on longer term. So I took what I know about my indicators and I said, okay, if I want to go into an option, one of the key aspects that I have learned in option, and I think this is what makes options profitable or non-profitable, is if you can tell where price is going. True or not true? Okay, well, guess what? This is the strength of the ADX. Okay, it does tell us where price is going. So the first thing I'm going to do is double click on the ADX, and then I'm going to double click again, and I'm going to look at all of these magenta peaks. What does it mean if we have a magenta peak? Somebody want to venture a guess? Going back to the ATR. So all I have to do now is pull up a chart and say, okay, where's the ATR? Okay, price is at 1.99 and it should pull back to $3.15. Does everybody understand that? Well, that's not enough for me to go into an option with. So the next thing I'm going to do is say, okay, I need options that actually have more meat to it, would be a good way to say it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add my bar range indicator to this. Let me move it down, move it down. Now I may have to go, no, it's there. Now, right now I've got my bar range set to 10. So it's going to measure 10 weeks back. Okay? So let's go in and set it at 52, which is a full year. Now, I don't need to see my profit targets. That's not why I'm looking at this. I don't need to see the ticks either. Don't need to see the stop or the profit targets. So I'm going to hide all of these and I am going to focus on stocks that actually move a lot. So I'm going to double click again, and these are the stocks that on average move at least $7 to $8 a week. This is not daily, this is weekly. Okay? So I see that Cena is one, but it doesn't have a magenta peak. GS doesn't have a magenta peak. So I'm going to scan down these and see if I have any potential magenta peaks. The only one would be on Do, and that value is at 38, so that magenta peak had come in quite a while back. Now, I would not be able to trade that. Descend and Prasad. And all you have to do is double click once to do ascending and twice to do descending. Okay, now you also have AMGN down here. It moves about $3 a week. You know, I'm not interested in something that only moves $3 a week. This is only moving a daily range of $1.46. I only plan to be in this market for maybe 3 to 4 days. So that's not one I would really want to go into because I'm doing the option side. All right, we can do the same thing on the monthly. Well, let's go to daily because for those of you that are trading daily, this is really important. Because on this one, you really do want to get the ones that have the biggest range. And if you're new to this like I am, this is the only way to know. I'm going to take out the tick value. I'm going to take out all of this other stuff because I don't need to look at it. Okay, now we're going to change the bar range and we're going to format it, and let's put 5 days in here. So we just want the average for the last 5 days. Now we're going to double click on the long-term range. Apple and Google, does that surprise you? Apple and Google are the top ones in my list. Now you also see that CF is there. Now you see also, now this is what's interesting to me, is on the daily, Apple is at 83. If you start getting a long divergence in there, that's when I start getting interested in scalping that on an intraday basis. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Now, a lot of them that have the dark values, that means you probably had a magenta peak previously. The higher that value, the more it is, okay? So I just go in here and I check all of them to make sure they did not have a magenta peak. This is a good example. And this magenta peak came in on that bar, and price had from 64.19 down to 60.21. So that's $4. If you send me an email, sure. The daily range is not an average at all. It is what it has made currently from high to low. So in this one, you actually had knowledge, and this is where trading the options come in. But options are a little bit more difficult, and Angel's going to teach that at the advanced seminar. You had 64.19. You knew price was going down at least $4. Now do you understand why this makes it so great for options? You actually have advanced knowledge of where price is going to. And believe me, I can absolutely use that to my advantage as a trader. Now, that's just one way. Well, I want to join a trend because I want to be with it just a little bit longer than a few days. Say I want to be with it, a couple of weeks. Okay, let's go over to the monthly. And this time, we're going to sort descending on the ADX. Does anybody see any bright colors over 30 as I'm scrolling down? And I'll get there eventually. Okay, does anybody see any bright color values over 30? Out of this 250 list, you have quite a few that are actually above 30. What does above 30 mean? Above 30 means if it is a bright color, then it's trending. It is trending upward. That is absolutely correct, Prasad. Now, are the settings for the ATR the same for stocks and futures, or does it have to be adjusted depending on the range of the stock? I don't adjust any of my settings, period. I believe if I put it on something, it needs to work on just about everything. Now, I don't know how many of you I have in the room that are from Europe, but me and Wepper were sitting there looking at European stocks over the last week. And we put it on the European stocks, and it works equally as well on the Europeans. We were looking at the German stocks, and they did just as well as the U.S., if not better, because the Germany stock market, it doesn't have the volatility that the U.S. stock market has. So I think it's universal, Evelyn. It works on anything. If you can give me price and volume, these indicators will work. Now, is the magenta peak the same for stocks as it is for futures? 50. Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. Now, the only thing that I have noticed on the stocks, Evelyn, is that you will get higher values, meaning you may get 99 values. But this is why we have the THD volume divergence, okay? You don't want to be going into those stocks until you have the magenta peak or you know that it's coming because you're getting the long divergence. Does everybody understand that? That's all about timing that magenta peak. All right, so let's say BBY, okay? And let me write this down because I won't remember it. We have BBY. It's at 42, and it is bright red 42. And let me tell you, the ones of you that are coming to the advanced seminar, you'll know this radar screen as well as I do when I'm finished with you. Let's see, CHKP. We'll look at two of these, and I'm just pulling them out of random air because I see it. It's a bright red, and it's 44. Okay? So let's go down to the weekly, and I'm going to sort it alphabetically because I need to find these. First thing I'm going to look at is BBY. It's dark red. What does dark red 44 mean? It means there's probably a magenta peak in my background. Okay? How did I create the stock list? It's actually, this is just a standard list that TradeStation has. And see, these are things that we were going to be doing the presentations on, Chris, is just how do you do this? Okay, how do you create your stock list? And on Sunday at 4 o'clock, Angel is going to do a presentation for everybody that wants to build a stock list. I just use defaults. Let's see, BBY, it's got a dark red 44. I click on it and my chart changes. Notice that there is no magenta here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to notice is what are the buyers doing? Okay, that's really what's going to interest me right now. What are the buyers doing? Because we've had divergence. Okay, so they're going to test for what? They're going to test for buyers. And so far, the response by the buyers this week has been almost zilch. Okay, so then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the daily and say, okay, I need to sort this alphabetically and see what it's doing on the daily. What's it doing on the daily, guys? It's trending to the downside. It's magenta right now. I will probably get a magenta peak, and that gives me an entry into this stock, as long as I've got diverging volume on the highs. Does everybody understand that? How long did it take me to identify that stock? What, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes? And that was talking to y'all. No, BBY. Thank you, Prasad. Ha, I did have a magenta peak in the background. Now, would I want to enter this one? Prasad, would I want to enter this one? No, it flipped my ATR. Now, I could go into it if it was at the SMA. This is out in the middle of nowhere. Would I enter that stock? No. It's already flipped the ATR. Okay, what about the other one, which was CHKP, and hopefully I'll get the right one this time. Okay, we're dark 21. Is this trending to the downside, guys? In fact, it's doing quite the opposite, is it not? You've already flipped your ATR. Thanks, Burke. What do? I go right back to my monthly and I start again. Yeah, you could do this sitting on the beach. You're absolutely right, Chris. It means that the slope of that magenta peak was 8.5. Now, that is to let you know, to get a feel of how strong the magenta peak is, Artemin. I typically tend to look at all of them. Now, let's say that you want to take a counter trend trade. Some of you know what I mean when I say the counter trend trade. Okay, monthly CMS, magenta peak. You see it? It's coming back to the ATR. As soon as that magenta peak appeared, I would go down and zero in onto the daily. And I would look for at the daily for an entry point. Does everybody understand that? These are just some of the ways that you can really use these tools to actually produce money. You do have to understand the way the indicators work. I have found the bar range really useful in scanning some of these stocks, because if you're scalping like a couple of you guys do in the room that I know about, if you're scalping these on a daily basis, you really have to have something that has a high value to it. And that also, when you get those high values, those are typically stocks that a lot of people are also trading. So automatically you'll have the volume there. Now, I'm showing it today on stocks, okay? You could do this with any sector you wanted. Let's say, okay, Prasad, you're a doctor. So, you're kind of in the know with the medical field. You could create an exact same radar screen with the medical field. No, it's included in the gold package, Don. Okay. And just to give you an example of, and I'm going to have to go online to do this, and I might sound like Donald Duck, so be patient with me. Let's see. We're going to take all of these out. All right, and let me go online. And I'm going to insert analysis group. And we're going to go to, I'm sorry, I'm going to insert a list. And wait a minute. It hasn't fully come up yet. There we go. We're going to do a TradeStation symbol list. And we're going to go to industry groups. And let's see. Let's go to healthcare. We'll add those. And we'll just add them all. Well, which one would you prefer, Prasad? Equipment and supplies, facilities, services, or pharmaceuticals? Your choice. Whatever you want, we'll put it in here. The equipment and supplies it is. Okay. Now some of these must have, when you see data request failed incorrect symbol, typically they're no longer available. We have a lot of short divergences, I'll tell you that. Now we can start it all over again. Okay, first, where's the highest ADXs? Okay, my interest would probably be here because it's going to have a magenta peak. Well, no, it wasn't because it's not moving. So we'll get that one off. In fact, I don't want to trade any of these penny stocks. So all I have to do after I insert that is come down and say, okay, I don't really want to trade anything that's under $5. So I highlight all of them that are under $5. Now, if you like penny stocks, then, you got plenty there to choose from. We're going to delete those. So now we only have the ones that are $5 or more. Now you can see a lot of these are really slow movers because the daily range is pennies on the dollar. Now again, if you wanted to see the ones that move, you have to sort it according to the daily range. So now we can see the ones that move the least and the ones that move the most. So EW, okay, this is one that moves an average of $2.22 a day. CYNO is 93 cents a day. COO, $1.81 a day. So you can see how you can actually see, okay, is this a stock I really want to get into? I'm sorry. No, it's a day because I've got it on the daily. And I'm reading the daily range, Stoker. The long-term range, yeah, would be yeah, it's 5 days. Now, you could go greater than that, roughly about 1.5%. But if you wanted to trade something really longer term, then this would be ideal. Now, BCR, you see you've had a magenta peak, and what is it doing? It's pulling back to the ATR. Okay. Right now it's currently at 95 and the ATR is at 97. That's only a $2 movement. I wouldn't want to try to scalp a $2 movement, but I may want to actually go short if it gets up there and it's on diverging volume and it's going into your higher time frames. Does everybody understand that? Bart, you can do highest percentage. I think a lot of it actually depends on your goals. If you're doing and this is something that me and Wepper were comparing because it does work a lot like Forex on stocks, okay? Because you still have a spread to pay on stocks typically. Now, if you're trying to go intraday, then you need the dollar movement, okay? And, I want something that is actually going to move, you know, 10 to $20 a day for me to scalp it. Why? Because that means it's 200 ticks. Okay. Do y'all remember on the bar range workspace? And this is just applying the same theory to that. Let's see. Let me get where my bar range is. And maybe this is something that you'll understand it a little bit better. If a stock is moving, you know, 200, 300, 400 ticks a day, it's really easy to go in there and scalp. Okay. Now, look at the euro. Everybody knows that the euro has typically been moving over 150, 160 ticks on the long term range. The volatility has decreased to 115. So most of you have seen I haven't been trading the euro very much. Why? Because it's not enough movement to scalp. The same thing applies to stocks. You really need something that's moving so that you can actually go in there and scalp it and try to recoup your cost plus profits. Now, if you're going into, let's say, give me the typical spread on Apple, guys. Okay, 10 to 20 cents. So that's 10 to 20 ticks in, 10 to 20 ticks out. So let's take the worst case scenario. That's 40 cents. It's going to be really hard to scalp that if it only moves 100 ticks, guys. Do y'all understand the correlation now? But now, if you wanted to go longer term, Bart, you may just want to look at the highest percentage. So it depends on what you want to do and what you're trying to do. Does everybody understand that? Right. If it's moving 400 ticks, not a problem. You can probably go in there and scalp it. You know, on some of these higher ones, because if you're not doing options with TradeStation, you have a really expensive rate on the option. You're going to have to go even higher, Pat, because like Option Express is $14.95. So you're really, really going to have to work for it. But this is just looking at it, you know, all together. Now, with TradeStation, it's $1 an option. But it's also what? How much do they charge to cancel your orders, guys? Yeah, TradeStation is absolutely the best for scalping options, and I've done a lot of comparisons. Yeah, swab is $9 each side. You know, so you're paying $18 and TradeStation is $2. So if you think you're going to scalp an option in swab, it's going to be hard. But the only thing you could do would be Apple or Google, from what I've seen. The stock universe is huge, though. So, well, swing and position trading again. This is where it's very similar to the spot forex market. So, in a way, I'm not totally new to this area. Um, Most of my long-term trading is actually on the spot forex market, Pat, and it is because the movements are larger, so I can afford to pay the extra that I have to pay with spot forex. You're doing the same thing in swing and position trading. Yes, you can pay the larger fees because you're on a higher time frame, so you're increased your profit potential. And as long as you know where the price is going, hey, the ADX is going to tell you when it's going and where it's going. So you do have a huge advantage if you're using our indicators. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Again, we will not have a live trading room tomorrow morning. If you are not on our email list, I do suggest that you email me to get on the list, because all of our special presentations like this will actually be done by email invitations. We will let you know 2 days ahead of time when we are going to have the presentation. No room tomorrow. Yes, I did record the presentation today. It will be put up on the blog. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the blog, let me open up a new window here and I'll show it to you. Yeah, I know. I haven't canceled it yet. There will not be a room tomorrow. Uh, the subscription is available now to anybody that is a platinum or diamond member. Next week, I'll be adding new videos, basically going over the changes from when you attended a seminar. John, you're asking, are those pullback indicators part of the platinum package? Yes, they are. And one of the things that we will be changing is if you are a diamond member, and that means that you have been to an advanced seminar, if we come out with any new updated indicators or I design a new indicator, y'all will not have to actually pay for the indicators because you're diamond members. Right. Once you find the stock setup you want to trade, you have to make sure there's plenty of open interest on the options. Yeah, and one of the things I have found, Kent, is that when you're limiting it, when you actually look at the range, then it's always going to be the open interest there because it is stocks like Google and Apple that really come to the top of the list. Does Ninja Market Analyzer have all of the same features as TradeStation RadarScreen? Unfortunately, no, they do not. Pat, you said people should be taking advantage of the THD 25% off. It is a good deal. I think actually it has made the packages lower than they even were before. The next advanced seminar, John, will actually be in Frankfurt, Germany next year. Yeah, the let me go over it real quick. The platinum package right now is 26, 21, 25. Before the price increase, it was 29.95. So this is the lowest that package has been that I remember. Now let's go through the blog. A lot of the new videos that I'm doing, I'm actually putting on the blog and on YouTube. And if you scroll down 2 videos, you will see all of the videos that we are adding. Now, those of you that want to become a subscriber again, you will have a separate section of the website. This is for the general public. And if we go back one, how do you order the book? I'll show you that too. Okay, to order the book, if you go to THD Store and Mastering Your Trade, click on that. You can order the book, John. And if you want to order the subscriptions, you just go to subscriptions and choose either the platinum or the diamond. The difference, the platinum is you have only been to a Master of the Trade seminar. Diamond, you have been to the advanced seminar. On the blog, Larry, or the subscription? The subscription, if you have signed in to the THD store, okay, this is a different part of the website, then you would have to go in and order the subscription through your login. Yes, you are a diamond member, Prasad. Okay. Are there any seats left in this year's advanced seminar? Yes, we do have seats left. And I mean, it's a 5-day seminar for $1,500, and that's the price of my regular 3-day seminar. So we've really discounted the price for all of you. Well, the advanced seminar here in Greensboro is, excuse my French, but it's going to be kick-ass. I know some of the people that are going to be there. I mean, just the traders that are going to be in that group. Uh, I know the group, and it's totally awesome. Okay, Charles. That won't be a problem at all, Charles. And also, for those of you that have been contemplating changing over to TradeStation, now is a great time to do it because they have lowered their fees as long as you have your TradeStation account, your trading account with TradeStation. When will this session be available online? As soon as we finish, Kent, I'm going to produce it and then put it up on the blog. Yeah, you don't have to trade. You just have to have a $5,000 account with them. And they have it where now you get, it's a market data package. So, and it's really pretty low. Yeah, it's free with 10 trades, 10 live trades a month with TradeStation. And I'll tell you right now, my favorite is TradeStation and multi-charts. I do have both platforms because I trade so much of Spot Forex. And Spot Forex is way better on multi-charts. And that is because of the data that they provide. They've stored it back for 20 years and we can actually get volume on it. Yeah, the market data package for TradeStation, provided that you have a trading account with them, is $20 a month. And if you're going to do options, you better be with TradeStation. Um, do I have any idea of the frequency each month that I will personally be doing the free and Master the Trade webinars? No, because a lot of that depends on the market action. Okay. I under the subscriber areas, which means platinum and diamond, I will be notifying you on videos on Sundays if I see something that, hey, you need to look at. Matt, the platinum monthly membership, you get access to a whole selection of different videos, as well as all of the new videos that I do for the platinum members. And that's one of the reasons I want to free up some of my time from just sitting in a room looking at the euro and the NASDAQ and gold, is to be able to give y'all higher quality videos. You know, anybody that wants to see how the tools work, we have an overabundance of videos on the website that are free. We also have the blog. We have videos on the blog. And Rick does an exceptional trading session on Tuesdays where he goes through all of our workspaces and our indicators and show you what they do day in and day out. So, you know, it comes down to providing quality education to our clients. Rick is spectacular. Now, Mika will be doing some on, okay, this is a great example. We have this fiscal cliff that's upcoming, okay? And I personally believe that we're going to start getting a lot of market action in the bond markets, because you know as well as I do that our government is so great that they will wait until the last minute to pass any type of arrangement or negotiations. Okay, so I think that's going to create a lot of interest in the gold markets and in the bond markets. So we're going to get Mika in here and let him do some webinars on the bond markets. I don't even know the bond markets either. Will the Sunday seminar be recorded? Absolutely. Oh, he said it's a UST bond magenta peak on the 720. I would be all over that, guys. And you should know the setups by now, where it goes through them a lot. So we are working to bring y'all the highest quality. Well, I am really happy to say that we only have the best traders working here. Can platinum users attend the Sunday seminars? It's not every Sunday. It will be this Sunday. This Sunday, Angel will be going over stocks as well as the radar screen and how to actually do your stock. How do you select them? Yes, if you want access to the videos, you do the subscription for platinum or diamond. I do have to approve you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Stocks are kicking butt right now. It started with Apple. You know, for those of you, if you did not take that Apple trade, I told you not once, not twice, I think 3 times that Apple was going to want down to the 50 area. Okay. And that was a $100 move, right at a $100 move. Um, Yeah, emails will go out on Sunday, on the Sunday webinar. I will do that later today and get it all set up. Yeah, you were supposed to be short on Apple. And if you weren't, it was not because you did not know Apple was not going down. You might not have believed it was going down, but I did. And I think Kent, above everybody else, really believed it was going down because he took full advantage of it. So, yes, you can, Chris. As soon as you knew what it was doing, wasn't it, Kent? Oh, it was a beautiful move. Yeah, Kent was definitely the winner with Apple. Kent, would you like to share how much you made on that Apple trade? It made me cry. 9.0 Prasad. I'm still on 9.0. You will have to sign up. I will make a link for everybody to sign up, and you'll have to go in there and register. Yeah, Kent did dozen of option trades and ended up with 50K of profit on the Apple call. And I'll tell you right now, Kent is going to be at the advanced seminar, and he is one hell of a trader. Do I have any 9.0 users having any data lags? Um, I don't know unless it would be your firewall or something, Bill. I've had that before, but it was the firewall. It can be your firewall or your router, either one. The data should be, but remember that when y'all were getting in data, you've got a couple of components before it actually gets to TradeStation. One component is your bandwidth, one component is your router, and the next component is any potential software that you have on your computer that is acting as a firewall or an antivirus. I will send out the details for the Sunday webinar, Prasad. Basically, it's going to be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time. Rick said to call TradeStation and they'll help you place the exceptions in your firewall program. This could fix the problem. And Bill, I think you have Kaspersky. And that is not the recommended antivirus or firewall. Yeah, go with AVG. AVG has the smallest footprint. Now, I think I actually went with Avis now. Let me see what it is. No, no, no. Yeah, I went with Avis. Avis is just as good as AVG. It has a very, very small footprint, and it does allow TradeStation to come in on time. And anything that slows down your TradeStation is going to affect your trading. Yeah, if you have too many radar screens open, it can lag there too, especially if you got 300 in like I have this morning. It very well could be the router. Chris said that TradeStation has a bandwidth indicator. It's equal BYT. Set it to 100 ticks. Yes, Kent is coming back to the advanced seminar because he thinks the training is great and he still has a lot to learn. Thank you, Kent. It's for TradeStation, MultiCharts, or NinjaTrader. I really recommend the TradeStation version, especially if you're doing options. Now, if you're doing spot forex, I've already said I would recommend MultiCharts over TradeStation. So I think it's a matter of which one do you use, in which markets do you trade. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let everybody go. Thank you for joining us this morning. I really appreciate that you came in to join us this morning, and I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If I can't, one of my team members can. Well, thank you all, and well, thank you, Matthew. Oh, I'm glad your dad was there. I hope he's doing better, Larry. All right, everybody have a wonderful day, and I will let you know about the next one as soon as we have it scheduled. Well, thank you, Wepper.